headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass
A
hysteria.
little later, Ann Coulter will be out here to entertain you, but first he is the longest-serving independent in the United States Senate who is running for president as a Democrat. Bernie Sanders is here. Bernie. Look at that. Bernie. Good to see you smile. You know, you're always so serious, which is great, because we want a serious guy, but you deserve a smile. You're a rock star now, you know. And you know, you got into this. Everybody said it was just a boutique campaign. You're in New Hampshire. You're within 10 points of Hillary. You're drawing such big crowds, they have to change the venues. You've already got Hillary Clinton talking like Elizabeth Warren. I'm guessing you're going to say it's because you have the right message.
Yeah, actually, we do have the right message. Look, what the campaign is about, it's a very radical idea. We're going to tell the truth. And the truth is that for 40 years, the middle class of this country has been disappearing, and there has been a huge transfer of trillions of dollars in wealth from working families to the top 1/10 of 1%. And what the people of this country are saying, enough is enough. Our government, our country belong to all of us and not just a few billionaires.
Right. All right, so let's dig down a little deeper into the campaign. I mean, you are closing the gap on Hillary, but obviously she's still way ahead with women. You do very well with men and the older men, especially. Now, some women you will just never get. I don't mean you personally. Although that too. No. But because, yeah, obviously there's a lot of enthusiasm for the first woman candidate. But you know, I think where you could do really well is with younger voters. They like Ron Paul. He was not a young'un, but he had that same sort of authenticity thing going. Is your campaign savvy about how to reach the younger people? Because, are you on Tinder?
Well, I will tell you that we have a very active social media effort.
Good.
In the Senate, we have more people on our Facebook page than any other member of the United States Senate. We're being very... And by the way, that's sanders.senate.gov. And we are being very aggressive in reaching out to young people. Look, I think what we want to do is tap, Bill, the idealism of the kids. And what the kids are saying, for example, is that this country should lead the world in transforming our energy system and dealing with climate change. And that's an issue we're going to talk about a whole lot. And you are right about what the Pope did. I mean, this Pope has, dare I say, been a miracle for humanity. He makes me very conservative on economic issues, and that he spoke out on climate change in as forceful a manner as he did is just extraordinary. One of the embarrassments that...
Atheists and Jews who love the Pope.
I mean, one of the embarrassments that goes on in this country today is we have a major political party called the Republican Party that is rejecting what the overwhelming majority of scientists are saying, and that is, of course, climate change is real and caused by human activity. And I think the fact that the Pope has spoken out will, in fact, have a profound impact all over this world.
I mean, he's got religion, science, and economic morality on his side.
Does.
Yeah, that's very rare. Okay, so I saw this little cartoon on the internet. It was you riding a unicorn. and it says, you know, Bernie Sanders, he wants you to have free college, free health care, free daycare, free. Obviously, this...
So do they.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, the point of it was, you know, you can't have all this free stuff. And I thought, you know, what about war? Is that free? I read somewhere that kind of costs a lot.
Well,
so
actually, Bill, our Republican friends who took us into the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, they forgot to pay for those wars. They just put it on the credit card. But to answer your question...
And they want new ones.
Absolutely, in the same way, without paying for it again. But to answer your question, what I do want to see is the United States join the rest of the industrialized world, in fact, in guaranteeing health care to all people as a right. In Germany and in many other countries, college education is virtually free, which is why I have introduced legislation to make all public colleges and universities in this country tuition free.
Right.
And my point is, we are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But you know what? It is not American, it is not sustainable when so much of that wealth rests in the hands of a few. So yes, I do want to redistribute that wealth to the middle class and working families and provide them the opportunities which they are entitled to.
But if I could just return to war for 1 second. Yeah. I've heard you say something, I think it was on Charlie Rose, that I've been saying for a long time. I don't hear anybody else say it, which is everybody talks about we got to go get ISIS, and you said Saudi Arabia, they get the third richest army in the world, right? Yep. Their biggest defense budget. Yeah. Why can't they do it themselves? Why? I mean, Republicans love to talk about the culture of dependency. What about all the countries who are depending on Uncle Sugar for their military aid?
Bill, you're not suggesting that the multi-billionaire family in Saudi Arabia, which has the third largest defense budget in the world, actually send their troops into combat against ISIS. You're not suggesting that.
We're both suggesting
as opposed to sending American kids and our taxpayers paying for perpetual war in the Middle East?
Yeah.
Well, maybe the Saudis might want to step up to the plate, along with other countries in the region. We should be supportive, but not leading it.
Okay. So, my last question, the trade pact. Obama was very for it. You're very against it. I mean, the White House says that if we had this trade pact, and it's with 11 Asian countries, almost a 500 million population we'd be trading with, some things that don't exist right now, like child labor laws, would be in effect. Environmental laws, there's nothing for that now. If they signed the pact, that would be a part of it. They'd have to be a signature to the International Labor Organization. Why is it such a bad thing, do you think?
Because we have heard that argument, those same exact arguments, for every disastrous trade agreement that's come down the pike. And the fact of the matter is, after NAFTA, after CAFTA, after permanent normal trade relations with China, we have lost millions of decent-paying jobs because American workers are seeing their plants shut down and those plants going to China and other low-wage countries and the products coming back into America. In my view, the time is long overdue for these major corporations to start reinvesting in America and creating decent-paying jobs right here.
All right, Bernie Sanders, everybody. Keep it going, Bernie. Keep smiling. All right. Let's meet our panel.
Texas Governor Rick Perry picked a fight with New York last week. Daily Show contributor Louis Black hit back.
If you're tired of the same old recipe of overtaxation, overregulation, and frivolous litigation, get out before you go broke. Texas is calling.
Texas is calling? Well, good thing I've got caller ID. Listen, Texas, trying to steal jobs from Illinois and California are one thing, but you're going to try to trash talk about New York? Not on my watch. This is New York, the city that never sleeps. People come here from all over the world for the freedom to live as they choose, for the variety of cultures, but most of all, for the fact that it's not Texas.
Joining me now is, of course, Louis Black. His show, Louis Black, Old Yeller, will be live at the Borgata in Atlantic City on August 24th. You can watch it live on pay-per-view. And, Louis, you know, when I asked the staff earlier today, when they said you can watch it live on pay-per-view, I said, well, you can watch it on some pay-per-views. Which ones? And now I'm looking. at this fact sheet that says this amazing thing. This will be the first ever live comedy special to air simultaneously on all cable, satellite, and telco platforms pretty much in the world. It's like every one that I've ever heard of. And I have a question for you about that, which is, who did you have to know to get that to happen? And as you know, I have just paraphrased a show business form of that question.
Yes, you did.
Where the verb rhymes with know.
Yes, exactly.
But you know what I mean. This is like impossible. How
I don't know how
you got on your knees and did what to make that happen?
I have shamed myself through the entirety of my career, and what was one more shame, really, for me, exactly. Seriously. And to be on in Mother Russia at this time of year really thrills me no end.
Yes, they are going to be thrilled. But now listen, before we go any further, there's a new introductory question I have to have with Last Word guests. And this, by the way, is going to be the preamble to taking your oath now as a United States Senator, and that is, are you now or have you ever been a Canadian?
No, I'm not. I have too much of a genetic predisposition to irony and sarcasm. So, which is proof.
But I gather that you would rather be a Canadian than a Texan, which is the opposite choice that Ted Cruz apparently has made.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I don't know. There's certain places I would be a Texan, but it just in certain cities on certain streets, that way. And there's certain parts of Canada that I would not. No, you don't want to. Thunder Bay is nice, but you really don't want to be a citizen of Canada living in Thunder Bay or remote stretches of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland.
So about Texas and your little feud, you got a feud going here with Rick Perry, and which I think is a combination of your attitude toward Texas and what Rick Perry doesn't know about New York. Which would you most like to instruct him on? Feel free to go in any direction you want there.
I would just like, I'd just like to instruct him on, I think if he's got this time off from governors, maybe to kind of go back to just, it's not even New York, just go back to college and start over and take really another 4 years and let's look at the world again, Rick, and this time try to memorize some stuff and pay attention in class and things like that. I mean, the fact that he may run for president again, if that happens, I mean, as a comedian, I'm thrilled, but as a citizen, I weep.
Now, speaking of college, you just gave your first commencement address, and we have a little piece of it here that I want the world to take a look at.
Someone who believes, since I was broke, because I worked in theater till I was 40 years old, I actually believe it is, and this is going to shock some of the folks in the back, it's a privilege to pay taxes. And it's not a political question, folks, because we have to pay for stuff.
Louis, I was broke, maybe not for as long, but for maybe the first half of my work life. And I always kept saying, I can't wait to complain about paying taxes. I can't wait to have to pay taxes.
Yeah. It was really like, it was amazing to me the first time, because I used to have that short form where they just call you up and see if you were breathing.
Right.
And you were scraping things together. So the idea that I could finally, that they were taking money out and I was being left money. And that I could actually share money. I mean, I didn't help pay for the streets. I didn't help pay for the water bill. I didn't help pay for anything. So the idea that I could pay for a lot of the stuff that needs to be paid for was like joyous. I mean, I don't know when people drive over bridges who they think is going to take that job to fix the bridges. What do you think that that they're going to call you, when the bridge goes, they're going to call you up and say, hey, bring your tool kit? You have to pay for stuff. It's